Oh, hello, everybody. Welcome to the official Do Good Better podcast. I'm your host, Patrick Kirby, and this podcast, of course, is talking to small nonprofits doing great big things, and I am ecstatic to chat with one, Pam Thompson. She's the development director of the Cystic Fibrosis Association, and Pam, welcome to the podcast.
Hi, thanks for having me. This is super exciting.
I am beyond excited. I'm also highly caffeinated, but I want to know more about the Cystic Fibrosis Association. If somebody's tuning in and listening for the first time, they have no idea who you are. Give us a little rundown on who the CFA is.
All right, Cystic Fibrosis Association of North Dakota is the statewide nonprofit. We don't receive any federal funds or state funds. We raise all our own money, and we help people with cystic fibrosis living in North Dakota to pay for their medications. We pay for travel to and from medical appointments. There are only 2 CF clinics in the whole state. So that means our friends with CF spend a lot of time in the car. Mm-hmm. So we help pay some mileage. We pay for hotel so that they are supposed to go quarterly to go see their doctor. And we try and make sure that they actually do that and that they don't have to make choices like paying the rent or not having to take time off work and that sort of thing. So we help pay for that.
For those of you who don't know what cystic fibrosis is, what is it?
Cystic fibrosis is an inherited genetic disease.
Mm-hmm.
You can't catch it, but you can be born with it. Mm-hmm. And it affects almost every body system, but primarily the lungs and digestive system. And there's currently no cure, which is kind of a crummy thing. But the good news is there are some awesome medications that have just actually come out of the pipeline just recently that can affect on the genetic level. And so people are showing some really good news with that. So.
And those aren't necessarily inexpensive drugs, are they?
No, they have a very high price tag. We're talking like $300,000 a year. So
yeah, it's
around.
It's a crazy number, but again, that's why the CFA exists, is right, to help with some of these monetary payments today. Right. So what are some of your big, hairy, audacious goals at the Cystic Fibrosis Association?
Well, one of my number one goals is to make sure we're actually helping all the people that we can. We know that we help a certain number of people in North Dakota, and we know that there are other people with CF that we are not helping yet. So a big part of my job is just getting the news out that, hey, we're here and we want to help.
Yeah.
So that's a huge, just the awareness. And then just to get our communities involved and know more about what CF is, and that their friends and their family members are living in the community. It's an invisible disease. You don't look like you have CF. Mm-hmm. And so these are people in your classrooms and that go to church with you and do all of these things. And how can our communities get involved to help out?
I absolutely love that. Well, and kind of piggybacking off of that, you do amazing work. What do you do better than most organizations, and what makes you different from other nonprofit organizations that help you become as successful as you are?
Well, I like to say that I broker hope. Like, hope is just
That's awesome.
A big word.
Yeah.
And to say that we're helping give this hope. Our hashtag is that we help people with CF to breathe easier. Which is kind of a takeoff on the lungs and breathing. But the fact is, things are very hopeful. And how can we pass that hope on to the CF community and partner with them? And so I think that's kind of the thing. We kind of just become a partnership, part of the family.
I love that. Absolutely. So why don't we give sort of the listening audience, the viewing audience, some documented successes of what you have done. You've really reached the entire state. You're really reaching a population that doesn't have an extended network of available resources and things. I'd love to hear some amazing success stories that you have.
All right. So one of our things that we do is we help pay for college for our friends with CF.
Crazy.
That someone with CF wouldn't even make it to kindergarten. It was just a really sad situation, but now we've got people in college and beyond. So we help pay for college. One of the realities with CF is that treatment takes a lot of time out of their day. Mm-hmm. It can be an hour in the morning, hour in the evening if they're healthy. So we don't want them having to juggle work and college, and how are we going to pay for this if we're not working? So we come in and we pay for a big chunk of that college. So we've got our friend Ashley, who lives out in the Grand Forks area, and she wanted to become a nurse. That was her goal. She's growing up in with CF, and all of these people helped her, and she wanted to become a nurse, and we helped pay for that college education. She's graduated. She's a nurse. She just got married.
Yeah.
I mean, these are all those milestones. So these are the things that we can help people do.
That's amazing. And, and top on it, celebrating that, we like to, here at the old official Do Good Better podcast is celebrate big wins. We know that the nonprofit world doesn't like talking about this kind of stuff, but I'm going to demand it from you. Let's celebrate a great big win with the CFA. What have you done recently, or what's the organization done that deserves some high praise from your listening and viewing audience?
We've had a great year. I think our word is getting out. We've got just more and more people joining in with us and partnering with us. We have 2 of our biggest fundraisers happen within 2 weeks of each other in November.
Look at you.
So, out in Fargo, we always have the Holiday Homes of Hope, which is the 2nd week in November.
Sure.
And here we held it in Oxbow, which was a little bit out of town. Was a little nervous, like, are people going to come out and want to look at these houses out here? And they did. And we had our best year ever. 2 years ago, we started adding a gala onto that just to make it more fun and kind of extend the weekend out. And we had a group of volunteers that kind of heads that up. When someone else can come in and say, we want to level up your event, you say, yes, let's go, level it up.
Let's go indeed. I love that. Well, speaking of leveling up and speaking of appreciation, we love to end at least the question part of this, which is, let's share some love. Let's share an individual or a group or a business that has really deserved some extra shout outs and some TLC from you, the CFA, to them, the volunteers or the donors. Who do you have for us today for sort of celebrating and appreciating these individuals?
I'm going to have to take my committee out there for Holiday Homes of Hope. They are fantastic. And I live in Bismarck and work in Bismarck, and that happens in Fargo. And I go to Fargo a lot, but I can't go there as much as what they do for lining up this fantastic event. And so we're always looking for more help with that. And then my friend Emily Flanagan, who came in and said, let's level up your event. Let's plan a gala with that. Let's make it fun. And the work, and her and her committee just kind of took it on as their own thing, and just loving on our organization. And that is priceless.
Awesome. Ms. Flanagan, kudos to you. Hey, Committee of Holiday Homes for Hope, kudos to you. They're making a great difference. And I think not a lot of people get enough shout outs. And anytime you get a chance to say, hey, kudos to a bunch of volunteers who are doing it, they don't have to, and they're doing it. And that's even better. I love that. All right, well, time for me to give back because you have been a guest on our show. I would love to help you with anything that you have as a fundraising question. What do you got for me? What sort of fundraising help can we at the official Do Good Better podcast help you, the Cystic Fibrosis Association?
Well, I have a question.
Sure.
We have not ventured into planned giving, and I know that that's something that we need to be doing, and we haven't. And I would like to know, where do I start?
Great step. So first steps in developing your planned giving program.
Yeah.
I would say here's it is. Step 1, start talking about it. Now, one of the weirdest things and one of the weirdest conversations you can have as a fundraiser or as an organization is talking to your donors about, hey, look, you're eventually going to die. And that's kind of a weird thing to mention to a bunch of donors. Is that's not really the delightful, soft conversation you're going to have, but you can't take it with you. And so really it's an invitation. It's, hey, have you considered where you're going to leave money or bequests, or have you talked about anything as trusts? I think a lot of organizations have a hang up on even beginning the conversation because they don't think they're educated enough. Don't let that get you down, because they don't know what they're talking about as well. So you're going to begin this journey together as a donor and as a supporter on talking about bequests and trusts and wills and all that sort of complicated thing. Also, you don't need to know a lot about that. Lawyers, investment people, they all know the answers to it. All you need to do is spur the conversation so that they eventually begin that with the folks who are really smart and who are educated about all those things. So my advice, if you're an organization having the same question as Pam here is from the Cystic Fibrosis Association and trying to figure out what planned giving means, is begin with the first step of having a conversation and even ask, hey, we a part of your will? We're actually going to have this sort of campaign. We're going to talk about it and offer it as something to discuss. And don't make it weird because nobody else is having that conversation because nobody else thinks it's going to be that complicated as well. So, hey, key advice, great question, by the way. But the simple answer is just start having a conversation about it. Nobody else knows. So, excellent. Excellent. All right. Well, we've come to the end of our podcast. It was so quick. But that's what we do at the official Do Good Better podcast. So we introduce some of these amazing small nonprofits doing great big things, and we do it in a time frame that you, the person with the attention span of gnats, can even get through. I love it. So the floor is yours. I would like to invite you to our listening audience and our viewing audience. How can people help if they're moved and they want to get a hold of you? How can people help the Cystic Fibrosis Association? What do you got coming up? Sell this. The part of interview is yours now. The floor is yours. Go.
Well, you can always find us right on the web, cfanorthdakota.com, and there's a great big donate button if you want to give.
Yeah.
We have people who give every month, and that's kind of nice. You don't have to give a lot. If you want to give $10 a month, that adds up over time, and that just really helps our friends. I mean, if you think about what it takes to live with cystic fibrosis, it's not cheap and not for anyone. It's just not easy, and we want to try and make it easier. So that's something to do. And then if you want to start thinking about summer, because it's really cold,
we do.
We've got tournaments coming up in Bismarck and Fargo. And if you want to get a team together, or you want to get a group from work together to help run a game or volunteer at one of our events, just look us up on the web, and I'd be happy to.
Outstanding. What's your email address so everybody can go and email you immediately after looking and listening to this?
Well, my work email is really long, so I'm going to give you my personal one, which is
even better.
Easy.
Yeah.
DakotaPam@gmail.com.
Absolutely. Pam, thank you so much for being a guest on the official Do Good Better podcast. You are a classic example of a small nonprofit doing great big things. I've appreciated you on the podcast itself. I am so glad to know that you're doing amazing things here in the community. Thank you for what you do, and thank you for helping those who are dealing and living with cystic fibrosis. Thanks for being a guest here today.
Thanks for having me.
Woo!